And this was also the idea that you were going to absolutely attach the way a celebrity looked with what you could attain by both of you using the same product. And I bought it. I admit it. I did. I tried it exactly once. I loathed it. Hi, everybody. This is Diane Gilman, and it's Thursday, so it must be Fashion Thursday with Diane. Well, I respect old sayings a lot. So if it looks like it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And that is the essence of the skincare industry. Since I'm about to turn 80, believe it or not, and I have a hard time believing it, I want to give you a little history and a little look back in time from personal experience. What skincare means to all of us, where it started and where it's gone to, which is actually fascinating. I would say that the 2000s are the biggest leap forward into original thinking in skincare that we've witnessed in 3/4 of a century. Seriously. When I was a kid, I was born in 1945. Oh, yeah. She is a beautiful bride because she is wearing Ponds. Ponds cold cream. So, all you didn't have fashion magazines in the 40s. You had movie star magazines, and they always showed how they were taking off their movie makeup with Pond's cold cream. But then, and I never understood it as a kid, and I saw my mother do it all the time, they would put the Pond's all over their face again after they put on a shower cap or two. My mother would pile it up on her hands and then wear white gloves and a shower cap to bed and have this stuff all over her face. It was a combination of makeup remover, and makeup at the time, there was no such thing as foundation. It was just powder, red lipstick, red nail polish. Why do you take all this stuff off and then put it back on again? And it was so greasy and so gross. But guess what? We were coming out of World War II, no frills, but men were back again. Men had been obviously fighting the war. So you needed to look beautiful. And what better way to do that than do what the movie stars do? That is definitely one thing about skincare that I think has not really changed over the years is we all want to attain to whatever standard of beauty is around in the moment. And at that time, it was definitely movie stars. That was skincare in the 40s. In the 50s, and here was another interesting thing. Everything started to shift. At the turn of the century, the epitome of beauty was being totally porcelain skin. Why? It equated to class. What class? The class that didn't have to go out in the fields and pick vegetables and fruit, and the class that didn't have to be outdoors all day long doing day labor. So if you had white skin, you were a level above. But in the 50s, when we started to introduce beauty through modern day movie stars like Brigitte Bardot from France and Jackie Kennedy came in the early 60s and was always tan. It suddenly all shifted and we became sunbathers and everything for skin was copper tone. Yeah, God help us all to reflect on you, and getting burnt was great. Getting burnt was also a remedy for acne, and getting burnt was about being young, youthful, playful. Yeah, I was kind of left out of that because I was really, really, really pale, redhead with freckles, but it all worked out in the end because I didn't get all those wrinkles. But it was not even a time when sunscreen had really even been introduced, and the sun was considered your friend. And that's why, as baby boomers, when we all got into the 70s and the 80s, we needed to start really taking care of our skin because the sun no longer became a message of youthful daredevil, je ne sais quoi, I'm just going to be out in the sun frolicking around kind of look. It became, oh my God, I'm getting wrinkles from this. I never tried to get a tan or let the sun touch my face. But that was obviously not the message here. It's interesting how it went from porcelain skin being the epitome of to tan skin, skin that was baking out in the sun, being once again high-end living. You had the time to do it. You were just lounging around by a pool all day. And then you started to see almost drugstore level skincare come in. Like, does anybody remember Noxzema? And honestly, you just put it on your face. It's unbelievable. And that was supposed to be a remedy for sunburn that was going to calm everything down and soothe you. And then I remember the other big drugstore introduction was Nivea. But I also remember a series of soaps where you used them all over your body and you used a soap that you used on your feet for your face. And it seemed to me, they always said it had an emollient formula, long-lasting moisturizer. I don't know, somehow never seemed quite that way to me. And I was someone who had that white skin, all those freckles, and really dry skin too. And so, oh, I love this, the 9-purpose cream from Nivea. This was great. So what happened in the 70s? 70s was still a period of getting tan. I think because of Farrah Fawcett in Charlie's Angels, the 70s was a big focus also on hair, how to style your hair, how hair became the star of skincare, hair, and nails, that triad that formed beauty. But the other thing that happened in the 70s was an elevation of European skincare. And I remember trying La Mer, and do you know, 50 years later, 55 years later, I'm still using it to this day. Why? I liked the story behind it. And that's what skincare and the relevance of spending a lot more money on skincare became. It had a story. And he cured or alleviated a lot of the quality of burnt skin because he lived in Brittany, France. He had fishermen go out and get seaweed, a certain kind, dry it on the rocks of the Brittany coastline, grind that up, add emollients and oil to it, and put it on your face. I tried that product. It was insanely expensive. And you know what? It was so far above something like Nivea 9-purpose cream. I never gave it up. No matter how tough the times were for me, I always found room in my pocketbook to buy another jar of La Mer. And the other thing that I loved about La Mer, they never used a celebrity to bolster their sales. It was always about the product and what it was going to do for you and how it came from a very simple organic beginning. And they didn't add much to it over the years. In other words, yeah, they did a serum, which I love, and a broth, very different name from other products, which is super effective. They didn't pile it on and keep changing it. It was truly anti-aging. The 70s, the one big skincare change in the 70s, where we started to get paranoid about the sun. And we started to age as baby boomers. And we started to link all those wrinkles in your neck, in your décolletage, on your forehead to sun. Now, we didn't want to be out of the sun, so in comes sunscreen. And sunscreen became probably the number one beauty product of the 70s. You know, for me, I mean, I was so light skinned to begin with, and the sun was so destructive, I would just slather it on. But to tell you the truth, I would honestly rather stay out of the sun than use sunscreen. I hate it. I don't like the way it feels. You can't put foundation over it. However, three of the places that we always ignore are top of your hands, which age tremendously compared to a face well taken care of, décolletage, chest, and neck. Oh, yeah. Beautiful tan today. Uh-huh. Those were the places where I would really focus putting on sunscreen. But I will tell you that as a child of the 60s and the 70s, and naturally living in Southern California, going out in the sun, I've had skin cancer now 3 times in really weird places. Like the back of my left leg, they had to take a huge chunk out. My right ankle. You can say, well, that's not so bad, Diane. I mean, you're not going to see scars. Well, you may not see scars, but you know what happens? Ankle has very little flesh on it. It's very close to the bone. And if you don't catch cancer in time, it will migrate and metastasize into your bones. And then you're in real trouble. So skin cancer in the late 70s became a real reality. But honestly, so did over tanning. Everything was about being tan. I used to go for faux tans, and that's another product. I could never do it myself. I mean, be realistic. You can't get to your back. You can't get to the back of your arms. You can't get to your back thighs. So I was going to self tanning like once a week. It was just relentless. And I probably spent more on tanning salons than I did on actual anti aging product. But by the now the baby boomer is turning 40 and beyond. Uh-oh, we're starting to see it. Wrinkles, dry skin, it's starting to droop, and everything became an anti-aging product. And we started to hear new words like collagen, like hyaluronic acid, words that you hadn't heard before, but you were told you really needed. And so many promises about how much younger it's going to make you look. Well, I will always apply that Billy Crystal saying, better to look good than to feel good. Only I change it slightly to, if you look good, you feel good. But another thing happened. Baby boomers had children, and those children had acne. And I don't know if you remember this brand. I didn't even remember it until we started doing research. Bonnie Bell. Bonnie Bell 1006 lotion was for our children who had acne and were truly suffering. And that was a whole new thing. The other thing that was really new was so many commercials on TV. And now you were suddenly bombarded with promises, and you started seeing how perfect you could look, and everything became the youth quake, the promise of getting your youth back, getting the perfection you had always tried for. Here was the bane of my existence, and every guy I ever dated or was with. And it was, what do you mean you use La Mer? Oh my God, that's like $600 a jar. The La Volée just did testing and they proved they're better at $6 a jar. Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, I used oil of Olay because some boyfriend I had tortured me into it exactly once, broke out all over my face, all over my chest. It was gross. I used to think, God, Diane, you're such a little princess. And then I realized it wasn't that I believed this was going to happen. It just was ingredients that my skin couldn't tolerate. I don't know what it was, but never use that again, and still using La Mer. The other thing that was really great, and I use a version of it today from a company called Lima, is the Buff Puff. I need constant exfoliating. That really helps the healthy glow of my skin. So the one I use today from Lima, Lyma, is actually made of volcanic rocks that are mushed up and then formed into a sponge. That came from the 80s and the introduction of the Buff Puff, which actually was a lot harsher, but you know what? Kind of did the job. Then I also remember Lubriderm. I was never a fan of one cream that moisturized your entire body and your face. I was always a big believer. Body moisturizers were one thing, honestly. What you put on your face was another. Aha. Now we go into the early 2000s, and what do we get? The infomercial. This had to be the height of episodic television. So you were on cable TV and it was growing like crazy. Two entities made that happen. The first was Proactive, which was a much less drying and alcohol based problem solver for your kids' teenage acne. It was much more influenced also by TV celebrity who came on and endorsed it. And so television became the perfect playground for introducing infomercial brand skincare style. And the other product that came into the fore, and I would say it was about 2003. I'm always looking for ways to take care of my body and have it express itself through that healthy glow. And I think I found what to me is a miracle. It is called Amra. It's got all sorts of collagen. It's got peptides. It has vitamins. It has minerals. And it's just this tiny little scoop of it. I don't even take it with juice. Honestly, I just pop it in my mouth. It tastes like butterscotch. It absorbs quickly and it makes a big difference. As you age, even if you are eating correctly, you are absorbing less vitamins. That's just what happens to your body. You need a supplement that's easy to take, almost instantaneously gives you results, more energy, better looking skin and hair, and helps you form a healthy habit and start to get all the nutrients you need. That is Amra. I love Amra. Supermodel Cindy Crawford and Dr. Sabag and a minor celebrity being a friend of and European elites giving testimony. And of course, at the same time, Cindy Crawford came out with that very famous Pepsi commercial. And I was looking at it the other day when we were doing the research and thinking, oh my God, who didn't want to look like her, even just for one day? But I do want to say this, and this is a perfect time to say it. That's Dr. Sabag. That is back in the mid to late and people, she wasn't putting a cream on her face made from a melon. She was actually getting transdermal shots all over her face and neck with a series of compounds, which may have included this particular kind of melon, which only grew in one part of the south of France. So you had the whole European elite kind of mystique going for this. And yeah, she looked great. And yeah, she looks great today. Genetics play a huge part of that, but she was so smart to team up with him. And this became, along with Proactive, the number one universal shown in every country that could afford to have cable TV mounted. Infomercial, it is still going on today. I think she does a duo thing with Ellen Pompeo. This was brilliant. And this was also the idea that you were going to absolutely attach the way a celebrity looked with what you could attain by both of you using the same product. And I bought it. I admit it. I did. I tried it exactly once. I loathed it. I hated the way it looked on my skin, and it didn't do anything, but it irritated me. But I just didn't like the consistency of it. And if I had to sum it up, I would say it felt inauthentic to me. Yeah, there's Deborah messing with it on. So a lot of people loved it. That was 2003, 2004. 2008, the beauty world was rocked by Gwyneth Paltrow, and everything became all about clean living. That actually started the whole trend for beauty on your skin, youthfulness, glow, great color, natural color from the inside out. Gwyneth Paltrow, it just came out of nowhere, and she called her company Goop, and even though she did shift into fashion and shoes and this and that, it was all about Goop and skincare. And I actually use the Goop oil, and it's pretty good. It was not a first choice, but not a lot of people are making an oil that you can just put on and let it absorb into your skin. Here's what I think is totally fascinating, and I'm so caught up in it, is everything has gone from not having enough choice to department store brands like Estee Lauder that are all about trusted giant conglomerate because they've got the money for research. You've got to look good because you are putting good stuff inside of yourself with Gwyneth Paltrow, and we're all going to be Gwyneth Paltrow and be perfect and slim and blonde and healthy and not have to wear a lot of makeup. And yeah, good luck with that one. To now going back to small batch product, which actually their oil feels like. I have to be really honest about that. So what I am seeing today is I do so much for myself that has nothing to do with putting a cream on. So I didn't abandon creams. I just don't get a lot into all of the newest mass produced creams because I'm all about how do I eat and eating salmon twice a week. So you get the omegas and you get the oils from the fish. And I'm also all about Hailey Bieber, who's way into the skincare and makeup industry and just sold her company, which consisted of only 10 products, for $1 billion. She actually, along with Gwyneth, introduced targeted smoothies. Yeah, and that was their one, a specific store in LA. And you could get your targeted smoothie. What do you need? More skin glow. What do you need? More exfoliation. What do you need? More moisturizers. And you could get them all by ingesting them. I am such a true believer in this. And along with that, I take oral collagen and I mix it into my coffee every morning. And I do that also with mushroom coffee, which has a ton of elements that are supportive to rebuilding collagen in your face. Now, you can eat your way to beauty, but you can also use red light and light your way to beauty. I have that machine, actually. But I use a handheld machine and I use a wand, which is from Lima. I use this incorporated into my life every single day. And I honestly credit red light with not having to go get, I find them painful, any kind of shot in my face or filler. I find my face is very plumped up with natural collagen because honestly, that's one of the key elements of using red light. And the other thing I use, and this is hysterical, and here's where, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I, honest to God, cannot believe myself. So infomercials have migrated from cable TV to TikTok and Instagram. So I'm a true devotee of TikTok and I'm watching, and someone I know, Gary Nassif, Dr. Nassif from the television program Botched, but I also met him in the studios of HSN when we were doing back-to-back shows a few years ago. He comes out with NAD. Here it is. Do I know what it is? Really? No. Do I know what riboside, resveratrol? Yeah, I've heard of that. Nicotinamide. Do I know what any of this stuff is? And do I know why I want to take 1,000 milligrams? No. But he promises that you will look 20 years younger in 30 days. And if you don't, and you take photos of yourself, if you don't get results from this, Dr. Nassif says he will pay you $30,000. And you know what? I started taking it. It's just this little thing you drink in the morning. Like looking at myself in the mirror and I'm thinking, damn girl, your skin looks good. I looked pumped out. I looked glowier. I had a much more even skin tone. I heard about resveratrol for years, that it was an inhibitor of aging. However they put it together, I think it works. And more than that, I'm willing to buy into the dream and honestly try it. But here's the other thing that I'm willing to do. I am sick of $100 billion companies. I don't think they put their money into research. I don't think you get the best product for the money. I think they put their money into advertising. And that is where the conundrum is for me. I have actually gone back into small batch, made, single entrepreneur, straight from the earth to my face kind of products. And I'm going to start out with Beekman, which is based on goats. Oh, yes. Okay, let me tell you what. They came on HSN maybe 8 years ago. They had their little baby goats with them because they have an intention. They're using goat milk, and they have a farm with goats, by the way, for real. The goat milk has a certain level of fattiness to it and acids in it that is going to be great for your skin. Now, I'm not used to using a $60 a jar cream. I'm used to using La Mer, but I've tried it, and I, by the way, think carrying baby goats around in front of a TV camera is about as brilliant as you can get. Everybody wants to buy into a baby animal. Who doesn't love baby animals? Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant on their part. Their cream actually works. It's really good. So they had the right idea. Take it back to the farm, make it homey, make it personal, make it non-glamorous, make it usable. And I say, kudos, boys. Bravo. And then the best part is they actually made a great product, and it's still on a QVC HSN. And then the other products that could sort of go into that category, and I will say, I think La Mer with individual strands of seaweed drying on the rocks of Brittany is the mother of all of this personalized product, because how you get the essence of La Mer is so elemental to nature that it's right up there with baby goats. But now I want to show you where we're going to end, which is these products are on fire on the internet today. Snail slime. Yeah, I know someone that uses it religiously. I wouldn't get near it, but guess what? It's supposed to have all of these elements, and very much like La Mer and how they take their product from the sea and how they actually found out that it could be beneficial just by happenstance. Same with nail slime. South Korea, which is a big hotbed of new skincare products. And they noticed that the workers who were doing the snail raising all had their hands were the softest hands ever with the least amount of wrinkles. Snail slime. But we also want to get to beef tallow. This to me is the equivalent of putting mayonnaise all over your face from the 60s. But guess what? People rave about it and swear by it. And the third, back to nature, small batch, single entrepreneur kind of product is bee venom, which is supposed to do wonders for the firmness under your skin, collagen regeneration. I love all these products. I'll probably try the bee venom. I might, and you know what? I actually might try the beef tallow too. I'm all for trying these new products. I'm all for more natural, direct ways to go. And if I was somebody who could and had the discipline to plan out my mornings better, I would definitely be doing a smoothie a day. And by the way, that was so sarcastically represented in the Julianne Moore episodes of The Sirens, which is sort of a very sarcastic take on the uber wealthy in the Hamptons and Martha's Vineyard. Her cooks would make a special smoothie for her every day with all these finite ingredients. But I'm all for ingesting it. I'm all for using red light. I am number one proponent. It works. You just need discipline to do it as often as you do. I do it every day. For these small batch from the earth products, that is where I give a lot of credit to the beauty industry for inverting itself from almost no choice to all of these mass-produced drugstore products to all of this impersonal giant diva products like from Estee Lauder, Helena Rubinstein. Take it in your kitchen. Yeah, it's all attainable. It's all understandable. For God's sakes, it's got baby goats. I love my skincare products, and I don't care whether I'm turning 80 or I am going to live to be 100. I will be putting something on my face, ingesting something into my body, shining some sort of laser light on me to make me look better, because I am sure looking better makes you feel better. I hope you like my little history on skincare. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.